Hey everybody, welcome back. This is episode 7 of Gillian's Prep Files. She is 6 weeks out from the Ben Weider Naturals today, so I will tell you that this is probably the hardest video that we are going to make. It has nothing to do with construction noise, has nothing to do with noise of any of our neighbors. In fact, it has everything to do with the noise that you're not going to hear. So unfortunately, on Monday this week, we had to say goodbye to our English bulldog, Lucy, who a lot of you have come to know and love through Gillian's videos on Instagram, YouTube, and all of those things. But it has been a very difficult week. We are still very early in our grieving process, and we are actually very thankful for all of you because you are helping us through this. And I want to say a special thank you to everyone who's reached out to us through a number of means to show your love and support. So for me, thank you very much. But let's talk to Gillian and see how the prep is going. This has been a challenging week, but it's been also a challenging couple of weeks since our last video. So Gillian, how are things going in the prep?
So as of today, I am 6 weeks out from the Ben Weider Naturals, and all this week I have been writing 7 weeks on my social media. My brain isn't working. Part of it is Lucy, and part of it is I am at that phase in the diet right now. So since we last made a video, definitely a lot has changed for me in the prep. It has gotten much more challenging. Although my training and diet have remained constant, it feels totally different. You know, as my body has continued to get leaner, what I'm feeling has changed tremendously. So I'm in the yuck of it, for a lack of a better way to put it right now. I'm in the yuck of it, and I'm very happy that the yuck of it is kind of condensed to a period of the last 2 months. But what I mean by the yuck of it is I definitely have increased anxiety. Some of that is coming from a level of insomnia, so which is not uncommon on kind of what the diet, though, even though it's not extreme in the sense of it is low calories. For me, this could be considered, you know, an extreme diet. So I'm dealing with definitely some anxiety, some kind of continued insomnia, restlessness, an overall sense of fatigue, definitely getting extremely forgetful and not sharp. And
we refer to that as diet brain around here.
So I would say like that is sort of what is happening for me in that sense. And then it was compounded by losing Lucy this week. Right,
and if you see, the flies are buzzing around that are somewhat distracting, but as you know, we do this in one take, so we are going to be professionals and just motor right on through. So your weight loss, you talked about that.
Yep.
Your scale weight took a little bit of a nosedive there for a while.
So I lost, about that? Yes. So in a period of time last week, I lost about 3.5 pounds in 1 week, not really changing all that much. Just to give you an idea of where I started and where I am at now. When I started this in the beginning of June, I was 148 pounds. I bumped up after our cruise very briefly and saw the other side of 150 for a day or two, but pretty much sat at 148. And I'm sitting at 132, 133 right now. With we've got 5 weeks. I have 6 weeks to go.
We need a cue card. We need something.
For me, there was a definite intensification of what I was feeling below 135 pounds. I'm going to be honest. Like, my body does not like to be there, and you could probably tell by how the lack of composure I even have speaking in this video.
So we know things are hard. We've talked about all the reasons why. So let's talk about some of the things that help.
So during this week, it was so hard was to lose Lucy and not to have what you think of our coping strategies. You know, when it comes to loss, like you just want those feelings of pain to go away. And in terms of self-medication, things that we commonly use as vices are going to be food, alcohol. You know, it wasn't just like, well, you know what, let's not cook tonight and let's order a pizza. Or, you know what, I would have really have liked to pour a nice big glass of wine and drown my sorrows in a glass of wine. And during all of this, like there was no option for that.
Or just, instead of hitting a snooze button, which we don't hit, just turning the alarm
or
off and skipping the workout, because we work out first thing in the morning.
It's not like, well, I'm not going to work out today. And I think, while kind of feeling a little bit sorry for myself that we didn't have those things, there was an enormous amount of comfort in the good habits that we have and the rituals that we have and the planning and preparation. So rather than getting stuck in a position where it's like, man, what are we going to do about dinner tonight or not eat? Like, that food, we already knew what it was going to be. It was already in the house. Or like training, like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like facing the world right now, but the program is there and I'm going to do it. And for those few minutes or that amount of time, that hour or so that we're in the gym, for that time, you feel a little bit better. So there has been an enormous amount of comfort in kind of the rituals and habits that help us get through the days and mark the days.
Right.
And are kind of giving us, a reason to get up and get out of bed during the day and do something.
We've talked before about consequences, accountability, and trust being the three absolute pillars for a good coaching relationship, a coaching-client relationship. Accountability has been essential here. The consequence is obvious. She has a show coming up in 6 weeks, 6 weeks from today, and that's not going to move. But we are accountable to each other first and foremost. We are accountable to Gillian's coaches. Well, she is accountable to her coaches, but we're also accountable to all of you. And you have helped us tremendously in that respect. So we want to make sure that we honor the effort and those who are along this ride with us by making sure that we stay on plan to the greatest extent possible.
So I guess how I've mentally gotten through it is in the moments, I don't want to do it.
No.
In the moments, I don't want to get up and get out of bed and go work out, and I don't want to eat my meal, and I don't want to do those things, but I kind of fast forward my brain and say, Gillian, a month from now, 3 months from now, what would you tell yourself back then if you hadn't done those things? And it's just about continuing to do all of the littles.
Right.
Like, no one of those little things, eating my meal, doing a workout, going to work, it is really that difficult. And right now, it's honestly helping to pass the time, and time is the only thing that's going to be helpful.
Right, and it's so easy to go completely off the rails by just making one choice that doesn't stick to the plan, one meal or one missed workout or something. And I think this has really helped us stay on the best track possible, because we're not grieving over loss and being upset that we screwed up. We are just dealing with the things that is most crucial to us.
But in all fairness, I am being graceful with myself. Yes, I am still following the diet, still doing the training, but I have recognized that I need to back off a little bit in the gym.
Right.
Not risk injury. There is emotional weight on the bar. I am not what I would call well right now.
Right.
So I am not going to push it and get injured. I have to recognize that it's about coming back to fight another day.
Right.
So there are some modifications program-wise. We've come into the gym, I followed the program, but maybe I'm not working at a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm working at an 8 out of 10, and that's what I need to be doing that day.
Right. And when you go through challenging times like this, a lot of times the one question that keeps coming up is why? Why am I doing this? And we, in our conversations on our walks and in the car and everything, we've talked about re-examining the why. So I'm going to pose you the question, why are we doing this? Why are you competing? Why are you coming back after 7 years to do a professional bodybuilding show?
It's a question that I come back to often through this, and we sit in our discussions, whether it's coffee time in the morning or in the evening, and have that conversation, especially now that I am in the harder, more challenging times. 5 weeks ago when things seemed pretty easy, it wasn't a question that I had to ask myself, but now when I'm in what I would consider to be the darkness of the prep, it is so important to understand my why our why. Because 20 weeks ago, I asked you to go down this path with me and to do it differently. So not sure that everybody that's watching this knows a whole ton of my history, but previously when I competed, so 7 years ago and prior, many of those last years came from a very, very dark place. And I ran to competition in order to not address things in my life. I ran to competition to run away. And it was very, very important to me to succeed, to do well, to be a champion, to win, to set records. And I competed from a darker place in my heart. So I retired from competition, and we have this wonderful life together. And competition is in me, it is in my heart. Yes. Anybody knows that I am a competitor through
Nicest
and through.
person in the world until you start a stopwatch or blow a whistle and then just get out of the way.
But I wanted to know, what is it like to compete when I am whole of heart and I am not running away, but we are running too, and to feel supported and not to feel broken in the process, and to feel like this same person exists at home as exists on that stage. So that was one of my big reasons of coming back to this, and to know that I could do this, because I had sort of come to a conclusion in my brain that I could either be, a wonderful wife and friend and business owner and coach, or I could be Gillian the athlete. But the question was, can those two exist and coexist together as one? And that is why I have chosen to return, and that is why we are in the process together. But this time, the reasoning for me is very different. It is not about winning. It is not about, I need to qualify for Miss Olympia. I need to be the best bodybuilder in the world.
All of those would be nice, not saying that they're not important, but that's not the focus.
Yeah. This is about staying true to myself, staying true to what I believe in, doing this in a very healthy, holistic way, where not only is it important of my physical body and that I am physically healthy, but that doing it in a very mentally healthy way as well.
Right.
So, some of the questions I've been asked is like, you're a pro bodybuilder, like you don't look like other pro bodybuilders that I see, like, you're not as ripped as they are, you're not as conditioned, which is the word for how lean, you're not as muscular, you're much smaller. And the truth is that I don't really look like today's current professional female bodybuilders. So bodybuilding has evolved since I left the sport in 2017. The look of the women that win the Miss Olympia in physique and bodybuilding today are far more muscular, far more conditioned, or extremely lean to the extremes than they were of my time. And there are things that I am unwilling to do.
Right.
So again, for me, it is about valuing what I hold the most dear, and it is overall health, longevity, vitality, and not taking something so far to an extreme that I compromise any of those things. So no, I am not going to be as lean as some of the pro bodybuilders that you've seen, but I am going out there being true to what I believe is the best me.
Have you spent any time looking at any of your competitors?
So some people have sent me some of my competitors, and I'm not going to say I am not above ever going down a rabbit hole and taking a look at who that is.
She's human, believe it or not.
But I don't find that helps me at all, because at the end of the day, I am not out there this time. Even though it is a competition where you are compared to whoever's next to me, whoever's next to you on stage, that is not important to me. I am out there this time to only be the best me, to be better than I have before, to be more whole than I have before. And there's nothing I could do about whoever is standing next to me. Watching them, looking at them is going to do nothing to help me. So in all honesty, I really do not pay. I want everybody to do well. I want everybody to come out and do their best and have an incredible experience. But no, I don't look at who else is getting out
I think
there.
it's safe to say that your biggest competitor is 7 years ago, Gillian. And that's the one that you really want to beat in all of this process.
And beating it may look different than it
Right.
did before. You know, beating it isn't necessarily, you know, are my glutes going to be striated this time, because they're probably not. Like I said, there are things that I am unwilling to do, staying true to what I believe in and prioritizing my overall health. You know, when I am out there, you know, people looking at me as a picture of what they believe healthy is, I want to be healthy in here and healthy up here. So no, it's not going to be that extreme. So I don't have expectations in terms of my placement. Of course, I would like to do well.
Right.
I would like to
Right.
do well. But at the end of the day, I want to get out there, follow through with the process, be my absolute very best self. You know that I love to perform. I love this
She
stage.
does love a stage.
I love it. I want to get out there, follow through, be the best me. And that is what this process is about for me.
Okay. So we do have a couple of things that are coming up. One very short term and one pretty long term, but I'm going to ask her to explain a little bit more about those things. So what are we doing in the near term? Speaking of you getting on stage, if you will, what's going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I am giving a lecture on Saturday, October 5th at 10 a.m. at Boneyard Barbell. Also, CrossFit Emerald Isle. They are in the same facility in Pelletier, North Carolina. The topic is Results Made Simple. It is primarily a nutrition lecture, and there's a little something in there about training.
So we're going to try to record that,
Yeah.
and then depending on the quality of the recording, we're going to try to release it right here on
Yes.
the YouTube channel. If that doesn't work, we are going to try another one of these one-take videos and recreate the lecture in a little bit more of a controlled environment. And we'll pull some of the questions that we get from the live Q&A and seed that video with some of those questions, because you may have some of the questions as well. If you do have these specific questions, put them in the comments below, and maybe we'll try to work them into that video. But again, our goal is to get a recording of the live version of this recorded tomorrow and get that put out on YouTube. All right, so that was the near term. You want to talk about the long-term project that you're working on?
There's been a bit of a pause with losing Lucy this week, but I am finally writing a book that I first started working on over 30 years ago. So it is my story. It is for lack of a better way to put it, it is an inspirational memoir. But at 17 years old, I had a burning desire to write and to tell stories, and I have never finished it. And I am now committed after this show, again with Diet Brain right now, there's been a little bit of a pause on the project, but that is something that I am working on. And interestingly, making the decision to do this competition is what kind of pushed me over the edge. And the reason I say that is I have always been able to set my mind on relatively near-term goals that I can wrap my head around. Like, I can do this bodybuilding competition, it's 24 weeks. I could do it, and then I move on. And I was more intimidated by like, oh, I'm gonna do this book thing. So I think committing to the bodybuilding competition made me realize that it's really just the same thing. I mean, in a different way. The commitment's a little longer, but you go about it in the exact same way, is really one step at a time.
Right, and one of the reasons that I am bringing this up here on this in this format is because you have been very supportive to us in this bodybuilding process that Gillian's going through. Hopefully we can generate some of that same support, some of that same momentum to help get her across the finish line and get this book published. So I'm very excited about it. I know most of the stories, but it doesn't matter. I still want to read them because I learned something from her every single day.
So I'm doing it. As you know.
Oh no, I know you're doing it.
As you know, when I decide that I'm doing something, I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's like the stopwatch has been started, the whistle has been blown. It's time for us to get out of her way and help her along the way, I should say, to get across that finish line. All right, is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Nope. All right. Well, as always, please remember to like and share this video with anybody you think might benefit from it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of any new material that comes out, like that nutrition lecture. And otherwise, just thank you all very much for your support. It has meant the world to us, and I am very thankful that we are going through this challenging week together, and together with you all as well. So the last thing I'm going to say, we love you, baby girl.